Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Don't Forget to Tap. This is just my jujitsu story of me journaling all the initial frustrations and growing and the changing and the evolving of a person who undertakes jujitsu. And I am just a white belt. I'm a three-stripe white belt. And I've really, really fallen in love with jiu-jitsu and everything it has to offer, both on and off the mat. And I've appreciated this community for being so open, so welcoming, and just so willing to impart knowledge. And with that, I wanted to kind of share something unique, something that I think is great, and it's pretty recent. Is very recently I just hit my 1 year mark doing jiu-jitsu, and I know that's not a whole lot of time. It's barely nothing at all, actually. But a lot has happened in that year, and I've had frustrations. I've had complete moments of happiness. I've had moments where I actually thought I was going to quit. And so it's been a crazy year, but it's been such an evolution, I guess is a good way to put it, of a year for me and what I've learned, how I think I've grown in this journey and everything I've taken away from it. And so I figured I would just kind of do a quick episode with you guys to kind of share some of the stuff that I've taken away and just kind of give some shout outs to some people who have just been great for me through this process, and very, 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 very grateful to each and every one of those individuals and groups. So, in one of my earlier episodes, I talked about the first time that I remember going to class, and I remember going and just being a complete nervous wreck, and it was so intimidating, especially once I got in there, because I've tried a couple different martial arts before, but something about this one really just like gave me the butterflies, right? And so I went in there, and I can't tell you how welcoming everybody was. And but immediately, the way that the gym is set up is the mats are one of the first thing that you'll see when you walk in, and I see just these complete athletes just going, ham in there and just like very proficient, and I have no idea what they're doing, but it looks cool. And so I saw that and I was like, oh man, I was like, this looks crazy. And I don't know what I was expecting or anything, but it was so cool to see, but it was so intimidating. And, but I'm super thankful that I was greeted with such warmth. And, so Professor Juliana, she was so great. Um, she helped me get sized up, helped me get the belt, learn how to tie the belt. Messed that up for a really long time, and I have my own method for dealing with that now. But I get out there, and it was, a very fundamentals class that, for white belts, as I still attend the classes that I love going to, fundamentals. And, I just think that no matter how far into this I get, I'm always going to remember all my coaches and professors telling me the importance of the fundamentals, and I absolutely believe in that, despite what I don't know now. But so that first class was great. I fell in love with it immediately. The people were great. Everyone was very welcoming, and kind of went that way for a while. And so just I got to be kind of humble, and I got to be very, very transparent, but at the same time, kind of vulnerable with you guys and some of this stuff too. That when I first started, at first I felt the growth. I felt a bunch of soreness and and stuff like that, because I think I'd been working some muscles that I hadn't worked in a very, very long time. And then as I got into it, it got really addicting. It was so much fun, and I still have so much fun doing it. It's just such a great place. And I remember it didn't take long, obviously, as a know nothing white belt, as I still am. to get frustrated when, you're paying attention to the technique, but there's just people with more experience, especially when you get kind of into like more of the situational sparring, that it's easier for them to figure out how to um, find angles or make connections versus you who doesn't even understand the principles of that. And I still don't understand the principles of that, but I just know to not reach or push things away from my body as far away because they result in me getting armbarred or something very similar. But anyway, and I remember those initial frustrations, it was really hard to deal with because I'd never been in a situation before where I couldn't outthink it and I couldn't outmaneuver it. And so this was the first time I kind of had to face that. And facing that kind of made me face myself because I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I wasn't as prepared to deal with the world the way that I thought I was if I had to. And I'm still not. I'm going to lead with that. But it really kind of exposed that I think a lot of people, there's some beast out there for sure, but jiu-jitsu was that thing that was like, I'm helpless. Like, it didn't matter how old they were, what size, what their size was. These people had more knowledge than me, and they were able to completely put me in a frame where I was helpless. And that was scary and exhilarating at the exact same time. And it made me face myself that I had to be humble about that. And so I still working on that, still coming to peace with it. But I definitely think that I understand that piece better, and that that kind of circles back to something that I'll talk about later. Um, but then what happened? I got really into it, and I started going to every possible class that I could. I mean, every single class that I possibly could. Going in the morning, going in the evenings, and I actually I travel a lot for work, full disclaimer with that. And that was kind of the one thing that kept getting in the way is that I would have to travel. But then I started, here I am, this no stripe white belt, and I started dropping in on other gyms. And, excuse me, and I can only imagine what some of these gyms must have thought that this no stripe white belt is doing drop ins. And I don't know if that's something that people think is cool or something that people are just like, what the hell is this guy doing? He knows nothing. Why is he dropping in? But I was just determined to keep training. I was absolutely motivated to do it. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to lose ground. And so I did. I dropped in every chance I could. And when I went home, I dropped in. I'm not going to go into too much depth with it because there's quite a few of them, and I definitely have to pull up my Instagram to get the exact names. And I don't want to mess any of them up. But I'm very thankful to each and every one of them and all the people that let me come train and all the great sparring partners. But I had a lot of fun doing that. I still have a lot of fun doing that. I'm currently here in Fort Worth, and I plan on doing that. And it's just something that I really, really enjoy doing. Very, very thankful to get to do. But on one of those trips, to kind of bring that into context, and one of those trips, I was in Arizona. And unfortunately, a car tried coming into my lane when I was driving in Phoenix. It was very, very busy. Um, and it caused a car wreck. And that car wreck, thank God nobody was seriously injured. But it definitely messed with me pretty bad, psychologically, for some reasons that I'll leave off of here. But it just did. And I kind of shut down for a while, and I would say from March to pretty much June, which I know is a decent amount of time, I kind of quit training. I trained once or twice in there, and I was so upset with myself, but this is, where some of the vulnerability comes in, but I shut down as a person. I really did in a lot of ways, and anxiety was killing me. And instead of doubling down on the things that helped me beat those things, I shied away from it. And then I was embarrassed that I hadn't shown up to training because I was that guy that was showing up all the time. I mean, I felt like I practically lived there sometimes. And then I just stopped. And I know that there's these major cliches about stopping jiu-jitsu, quitting jiu-jitsu, never showing up, especially The joke is the blue belts are never to be seen again, right? And here I am, not even that. I'm a one, two-stripe white belt, that quit. And I promised myself, and I would say it all the time, like my wife was like, why don't you go to jujitsu? Why don't you go to jujitsu? It helps you, it helps you. And I knew it would help me, but I was so embarrassed that what people would think of me coming back after having the shutdown, and I didn't want them to be disappointed in me was a big piece of it. I didn't want the people that I know that I work with, that I socialize with about jiu-jitsu, I didn't want them to, I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to let the coaches, the professors down, because I'd, been so invested in this. I had a podcast that I don't really think anybody knew about at that point. But this was all really important to me. And so that car accident really, really shut me down as a person. I was literally going home. I stopped taking school for a while, stopped training. I was literally just going home, watching TV, going to bed, rinse, repeat, right? And then this song came out, and this isn't really relevant to jiu-jitsu, but I was that kid growing up that Linkin Park was just like a piece of my childhood. And ironically, the 20-year anniversary of the album Meteora came out from Linkin Park, and that was such a staple of my youth. And there was a song that never got released called Lost, and that song killed me with how much I could connect with it. I mean, just absolutely was just critical to how I was feeling as a person at that point. And I knew that I had to kind of go back to my roots a little bit. Linkin Park was part of those roots, and jiu-jitsu became part of those roots. And even though I'm new to jiu-jitsu, it was something that made me feel that way. It kind of pulled me north, right? And so I had to be willing to be vulnerable and swallow my pride and just show up. And it was really, really hard, but I did it, and nobody said a thing about me not being there. Nobody said anything. Everybody was happy to see me. And so I showed up for that class, and I can't tell you how good it felt. Of course, I felt like I knew nothing all over again. One thing that and I'm going to go backwards a little bit. Before I came back to a group class, I actually did a private lesson with my now professor, who, in my time of being gone, went from being a coach to a professor. He got his black belt, and so I was like, holy crap, like how much change in the time that I was gone. And it was so cool to see, and I'm so proud of him. And I really got to say thank you to him, Professor Marcelo, um, because he's just been such a positive inspiration for me. I've met a lot of people that I think are very influential, very positive individuals, very important people, and the truth is, he may have no idea how important he is to me, as far as like what he's done for my development and the investment that I think he's made in me and a lot of others. And I just think he's one of those people that you look at and you want to be like. I hope that in jiu-jitsu and out of jiu-jitsu, I definitely feel like I'd be very happy to take so much from him. And then along that journey, I met a lot of people. But another person that I've connected with very, very quickly, who is just another one of those people that I would be incredibly humbled to be able to follow suit with and follow in the footsteps, is Coach Alejandro. And I'll leave last names out of it, so nobody like goes and stalks their social medias or anything like that. Not that anybody would, but they, those two alone have been such positive influences. They were very welcoming about me coming back, and I did that private lesson with Professor Marcelo. And I think that was, we set at one point, and I know it kind of wasn't necessarily rolling, but we sat and just kind of talked for a little bit. And I remember that a lot, and he kind of opened up to me about times that he had to quit or life got in the way and stuff like that. And so I came back, and I promised myself that I would never walk away again. And there's, at some point, probably going to be some injuries, there's going to be life, whatever. But this is something that's really important to me. It's something that I'm going to pursue, and it's embedded into my life now. It's literally something that's just a piece of who I am. It's a part of my identity. And I know that sounds so extreme. Like, people that don't do jiu-jitsu probably have no idea why I'm saying the things I'm saying. But if you get out there and you experience this culture and these people and the lessons that it teaches you on and off the mat, then I think that you could understand what I'm talking about. And I haven't even really begun this journey. I'm just a year into it, and I've already feel this way. So I can't imagine, 10 years from now, whatever. But what I do know is going on those mats and being able to have to critically think under pressure, but in such a warm environment where people want to see the best for you. They want to see you grow. They want to see you develop. Um, but they're going to challenge you and push you in ways that you never humanly thought possible is absolutely incredible. And walking out of those classes, walking out of, Gracie Baja and, with those individuals that I have the privilege to train with and my phenomenal training partners, just all around, nothing but good things to say. But walking out of there after having to think under pressure or, find a new way out, and I can't just attack head on. I have to find a new angle. I have to make a new connection. I have to be able to disengage and reattack and just kind of think my way versus just power my way through. And I'm still very much guilty of trying to use power to get my way out of things. But I have people that are investing in me to learn these things, and they're willing to teach me and grow with me and let me grow under them. And that's just a very, very, very special thing. And I love that, it's always about the fundamentals. It's always about the growth. It's always about challenging you on and off the mats to be a better individual. And it's just such a great environment to be a part of. And I'm very thankful to all those individuals. So, but another thing that I definitely wanted to kind of be vulnerable about with, because I think it's something that every white belt at some point, whether they know it or not, whether they'll admit it or not, focuses on, is that I think that at one point I started kind of chasing the rank a little bit, and I know that is not what you're supposed to do. It's not my aim. It's not my goal. I promise you. But I have to be vulnerable because this podcast is about being vulnerable and being able to make connections with other people. And it was something I was always afraid of, but I started noticing that I wanted to go to class to see if this was the class that, I was going to advance, that I was going to be good enough. And it wasn't about having an extra stripe on the belt or whatever, but it was about just feeling that affirmation that I was growing. And it was only when I let go of that and I started having fun again. Not that I wasn't having fun, but I just focused on the having fun portion of it and learning and being a good student again. And that all dissolved. And I realized I said, and pardon my language, but I said, fuck the rank. Like, it's not about that. Like, it's about learning. This is a lifestyle. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And honestly, there is no finish line in this. There is no finish line. Like, there's no tape that I'm running towards where I'm going to get a water break at the end. This is something that I want to learn to walk around with. This is something I want to learn to breathe. This is something that I want to learn in every movement that I do and every thought that I have, let the lessons apply. And so when you kind of learn to take that approach towards it, it makes a whole lot more sense in how you're going to take your approach towards it and the commitment that you have. And so I still haven't been as good about it as I want to be, but I've been very regular and consistent in training and working on things on and off the mat. And I'm definitely proud of myself for that. But I would say in the last year, what I've really learned is that jiu-jitsu is definitely a physical martial art, but I think the ability to impact a person's life really lies therein the ability to impact their mind through jiu-jitsu. I think that if you really invest in this and you let others invest in you, it will literally change you as a person in ways that you did not expect. And if you're willing to swallow your ego and your pride, much as I have to very, very often, this is absolutely an evolution that is worth investing in. And I say that so humbly as a very low-ranking person in jiu-jitsu, but somebody who is absolutely astounded by the amount of support I've had in it and the people that have invested in me. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about starting, or maybe you've been doing it for a really long time, To the people that have been doing it for a long time, thank you for investing in us white belts and all the, all the individuals that are newer to this journey, and maybe the people that just need picked up from time to time. And to the people that are newer like me, don't stop, because I promise you there is nothing more painful, no choke, no hold, no submission that is more painful than the pain of regret of walking away from it. And that's a pain that I couldn't live with, and so I had to follow my true north back to it, and I'm so grateful I did. I've forged amazing friendships, amazing bonds, found great mentors, and I'm eternally grateful to these individuals. So get out there, give it a shot, show up, just get, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. And I know this isn't for everybody, so I'm not trying to spin it that way. But I definitely think if you've never given jiu-jitsu a shot, I highly encourage it. And it's just an amazing, amazing place to find a new chapter of your life and evolve as a person. So, with that being said, got some more interviews lined up. I'm really happy that that's kind of coming to fruition. But thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen. I'm a year in and a lifetime to go. So, with that being said, train hard and don't forget to tap. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.